Hey, what's going on there, folks? Good evening. Good Saturday evening, March 4th, 2023. It is about 10:04 p.m. here along the West Coast in California. And taking a look at the latest activity here on the Earthquake 3D Globe shows a 1.0 California and also a 2.7 down into the kind of looks like around the Costa Rica area. Did have some prior earthquake movement out there as well. Let's go ahead and check out the activity. It looks like it's just off the coast of the El Salvador region right now for that 4.4 earlier. And again, there was a 2.7 coming in to that area, specifically down here around the Middle America Trench. We have seen some activity up here north over the past week or so. A look at the last 7 days of activity shows some scattered movement up and down this portion here of the plate boundary. So still staying fairly active around that area. All right, California, what do we got? Anything new popping off? Well, not a whole lot of new activity. There's still a little bit of movement down south here into the SoCal area with the latest earthquake, a 2.1 in the Borrego Springs area of Southern California. That is just off the San Jacinto fault zone. Nothing major going on across the San Andreas fault for now. A little not swarming, but a little bit of uptick across the Los Angeles jungle out here. Seeing mostly small microquakes, but notice the uptick on a broad scale across this area. Nothing major going on for now, but notice a little bit of uptick here across the Los Angeles area today. All right, see what else we got. Pacific Northwest, relatively quiet. Nothing going on out here in Yellowstone, but you know me, we got to double check, make sure that is the correct and legit information that's being shown. And the live seismographs out here, the recorded live seismographs, pretty much confirms that. There's a couple smaller earthquakes out here over the last 24 hours, but it doesn't look like anything major going on at Yellowstone National Park. Rest of the country looks fairly quiet as well. One earthquake out in the New Madrid zone from early this morning, 2.2 out in Tennessee. All right, Puerto Rico Trench. Have been seeing a little bit of uptick here across the Puerto Rico Trench area, specifically in the swarming region. Mostly 2s and some 3s. Been fairly active here over the last couple days. Last 7 days of activity. Shows a general movement up here north of Puerto Rico, specifically confined to this area. No major earthquakes. Look at the 4.5 and above for this area over the last week. Shows nothing. All right, Atlantic Ocean, fairly calm, fairly clear. Nothing going on up north or down south. A look across the areas of Turkey. Not seeing any earthquake activity out here, but that is the 4.0 and above map that the USGS shows. And for the most part here, though, over the last 24 hours, toning down into the 2 range for the magnitudes there across Turkey and a portion around the Crete area. Looks like we did see a 2.2 fairly new earthquake in northern Italy earlier this evening, 62 kilometers deep for that quake. Over here around Afghanistan, had 2 earthquakes today, mostly around the eastern Afghanistan region. Some deeper activity as well, kicking up underneath those mountains. Pacific plate here, the western side looks fairly quiet, according to the USGS. And a look here on the map that confirms that with the EMSC model. Only had one 4.9 here along the northwestern edge of the Philippine plate. But for the most part, lacking activity here on the globe. Normally we'll see a large cluster of activity across this region, and today fairly quiet. Most of the activity has been kind of ramping up down south here across the Kermadec Trench and New Zealand. Of course, we did see that 6.9 coming into the Kermadec Trench. That was last night, roughly about this time or so. Here in about 20 minutes, 30 minutes, that will drop off the 24-hour threshold map. But following that earthquake activity, we did have some movement upstream here around the Tonga Trench, and some activity kicking up down south here into the New Zealand region. So let's go ahead and check out the latest activity here from the GeoNet servers. And looks like a couple earthquakes here showing up on the map that have been felt. A 3.1 looks like that's right around the Taupo supervolcano. Also a 4.4 a couple hours ago within that same area. Let's see what's going on there around that volcano. We'll check out the drums here and get a little better perspective of what's going on. It looks as though, kind of looks like there's the, if you're wondering what that huge seismic signature is up here on the majority of those graphs, that is going to be the 6.9 that kicked off last night, roughly about this time. It's about ready to drop off that 24-hour map. We've seen some smaller earthquake activity as well following that 6.9, but now kind of looks like we got maybe potentially a start of a swarm going on here at Taupo supervolcano. It does look relatively close here, specifically to this seismograph station, which is Taupo supervolcano. All the other stations are showing some of that activity, but not quite as intense as the station here. So rather interesting activity. And again, this activity follows the larger scale movement from last night, but much further north. So maybe putting a little bit of strain out here into the Taupo supervolcano. Let me go here to the map again, just double check and see where exactly where this 4.4 occurred. Let me zoom in here a little bit, see where I'm at. Yeah, it's historical data. Obviously, there's quite a bit around this area. It looks like it's just right underneath the lake. Lake Taupo supervolcano is this area here. Now, we did see a little bit of swarming here earlier this year, or late last year, I believe it was, within this region, and it just dropped off completely. But this earthquake activity, relatively shallow towards the surface at about 5 kilometers deep for a 4.4. And there's been some other smaller quakes out here in the region lately. Looking at the felt reports here, about 1,273 reports, mostly weak to light shaking, although a little bit of moderate to strong reports coming in there to the North Island, New Zealand, with the Lake Taupo supervolcano. Continue to watch that and see how it plays out. Maybe a start, maybe. Not 100% certain, but sometimes we'll see little swarms like this kick up and really turn into some newsworthy chat. But right now, just a handful of quakes, including the moderate ones of 4.4 and the smaller one below that. Again, earthquake activity, 4.4, 3.1. And the rest of New Zealand, a little spotty activity. We did see that 4.5 into the South Island area. Looks like northeast of Mount Cook area. A look at the all magnitudes here for New Zealand. Within the last hour or so, handful of smaller quakes, but notice on the map here, most of them are centered around the Taupo supervolcano, and those are going to be the smaller spikes that I showed you on the seismographs there at Taupo supervolcano, the volcanic drums. And there's quite a few of them. Looks like a good handful, but again, most of the smaller ones below the 2.0 threshold. So continue to watch that and see how it plays out. Definitely showing some uptick, I would say. That's for certain, but good job on the GeoNet servers for reporting pretty much every single one of those spikes. Let me show you guys again real quick here. Going to be all these little ones, and they definitely reported all those. That's pretty cool. All right, let's see what else we got. Back to the USGS map here. They're not really showing anything down there with that activity for now. Okay, the Hawaii area, one earthquake in the last hour, 2.0. Island of Hawaii, Hawaii. Okay, it looks like it's just right around the Pahala area, offshore within our swarming area, 31 kilometers deep. Did see some movement last night and today around the Kilauea volcano. These two earthquakes relatively deep below the surface here of the volcano. No major changes, though, have been noted across the island in terms of disruption to the activity there at Kilauea. Alaska, I don't know if you can hear the wind chimes out here, but we've got the wind really picking up. A good chance of some heavy-duty rain here in a couple hours. I may stay up to watch it. Alaska region, some activity stretching up well into the Cook Inlet area up around Anchorage. Mostly 2s and 1s, but lighten up here within the last hour. And some activity from yesterday and this morning across the Aleutian Trench. Still waiting. Kuril-Kamchatka Trench, it's invisible. It's not really, but it's staying awfully quiet, and that's a little on the worrisome side. All right, let's see what else do we have across the Indonesia region. Again, that little quiet spell that's going on is due to the fact of the pressure gradient right now, kind of, I think, shifting down here to the south. It's staying within this region. So we'll continue to watch this area. It looks like EMSC is reporting that 4.4 is a 4.6 there around Taupo supervolcano. So watch that. And then also the activity appears to be shifting eastward along the eastern section of the plate and areas of South America. Some of these adjacent plates are showing uptick. South America, for one, quite a few 2s and some 4s out there within the last couple hours. And, of course, that little swarming activity up around the El Salvador region of the Middle America Trench. All right, let's see what else we got. I think that's about it for earthquake activity. Nothing really showing up too drastic there in California. Look at the seismographs. Live recorded data coming in right now. Doesn't show any earthquake activity or any swarming to chat about right now. For New Zealand activity, I'm sure the folks here on the live stream know that, but just for the folks that may not, the Black Stump Farm is into the area of New Zealand, around North Island, around Taupo supervolcano. So if you're looking for seismic activity to monitor there in North Island, New Zealand, that's going to be the station right here. It's just called Black Stump Farm. So that's going to be that one right here. All right, space weather activity is another story. Well, of course, last night we had that X 2.0. We did see a long duration M flare, an M5.2 earlier this morning. And now we're left with some dwindling conditions. Doesn't look like we got anything major going on. There is a little bit of forecast here over the next couple nights. It looks like beginning on, let's see, March 5th, UTC time between 0 and 600. March 5th. So that's basically going to be, let me get rid of this here. That's going to be, well, it'd be nice if I could see this. Well, right about now, supposedly, it is 0616, so we're within that window. Maybe a little late, or maybe it completely missed us. We're not really expecting any substantial storm. It looks like probabilities here at the mid-latitude areas for active activity, it looks like about 45% chance there for active. No major severe storm expected there across the mid-latitude areas. A look at the current aurora forecast here shows a little bit, but these are definitely well below G5 or the KP index of 5. Definitely not any G1 storming conditions observed right now. Looks like maybe 3.5 or so on the KP index scale here, with slightly unsettled conditions at the higher latitudes. And a look at the where'd our live data go? Did they get rid of it? Space weather live data? Looks like maybe they did. But there's obviously other ways to check that out. Space Weather Prediction Center has a lot to check out here. There's a current GOES X-ray flux chart, and let's see what we got. Real-time solar wind chart right here. Should show the activity, although on a little bit different scale. This is a BZ-BT component. Noticing a little bit of southward dots here, indicating some tilt within the interplanetary magnetic field. Density still is relatively low. It looks like earlier today we may have observed that potential coronal hole activity that we were looking for, but it doesn't quite look impressive. Speed somewhat elevated up around the 600 km range, but overall nothing too much to write home about, just fairly minimal. All right, let's see weather activity here real quick. check out the West Coast, see what's going on here for Northern California weather. Go over here to the West Coast area. And there's our storm system coming in right now. Going to be kicking up a pretty impressive line of activity right here in an hour or so. I'll set this into motion and you'll see what I'm talking about. There it is. Bring in with it quite a bit of snow. There's a heavy rain, somewhat heavy rainfall. Maybe some embedded thunderstorms with this line coming in tonight. Got some relatively cold air coming in with a good low-level jet. May see some thunderstorms potentially along the east side of the valley and also down around Sacramento, it looks like. After that, left with a bunch of snow up in the mountains still. And let me see what else we have here for the models as we stretch out over the next couple days. I know there's another system coming in right behind that one. Doesn't look quite as impressive. Let me go over here to this map. What happened here? Let me go back here to the West Coast real quick. And we'll put this into motion here and we'll see what's behind that. Looks like maybe there's a little weak system coming up around the 7th or 8th of March. But behind that, we got a little bit more substantial rainfall coming in. There's a nice storm system coming in on the 13th, 14th time frame with some widespread rain. Looks a lot warmer. I tell you what, this could be a little bit on the worrisome side because these warmer storms coming in, say they have substantial moisture, it's going to melt a lot of the snow. Here on this map, only looks like the extreme higher elevations are going to get snow. Rainfall on top of all this snow across the area will definitely create some runoff, but luckily our reservoirs still have a little bit of room to spare. And a much substantial West Coast hit here. It looks like around the 15th time frame. I was chatting about this here a couple videos back about the potential fire hose setup across the West Coast come mid-month, and it looks like that is about ready to ring true with some substantial moisture coming into the California area. And it looks like it's going to persist for a little while, so one more good rainfall event. Make sure we're getting out of the drought. I think this will definitely take us completely out of it. All right, so we'll watch that, and then who knows? Maybe April may have some surprises in store as well. Although spring and summer is going to be knocking on the door out here pretty soon. So we'll enjoy this rain and much cooler temperatures while we have them. All right, folks, I think that's about it. Yeah, just stay safe out there, and we will chat you guys here tomorrow sometime. Doesn't look like anything's coming into the seismographs. I know this morning when I was doing an update, right after I finished the update, there was activity kicking up. It's like, goodness, it never fails. But I think for now we're good. So have a good night, folks. We'll catch you guys back here sometime tomorrow. Until then, stay safe out there.